Welcome to the deep dive. So, we were handed a really fascinating challenge this week. We've been looking at a huge stack of articles, all centered on what feels like, well, the biggest question in playoff football right now. It's all about the legacy, the pressure, the ultimate accountability facing Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen.
That's a perfect way to put it. And our deep dive today is really designed for you, the listener, to sort of navigate this whole complex debate. We're not here to predict the winner, not at all. We're here to unpack two incredibly intense and conflicting narratives. On one side, you have the argument that this playoff run is Allen's absolute clearest path.
His golden opportunity.
Exactly. His guaranteed shot to seal his legacy, and anything short of a championship is just a massive failure.
And then, on the complete other side, you have this staunch defense, the people saying he's being unfairly criticized because, let's be frank, the Bills are just not the same dominant team they were a couple of years ago. It's the whole, it's not him, it's the team around him argument.
And our mission is to get into why this whole thing is so volatile. I mean, this goes beyond just quarterback stats. It's about that universal standard, right? How do we assign accountability to elite talent inside a team structure? And the sources gave us this killer nugget right at the start that just sets the whole stage.
Absolutely. It's this. If you had asked any pundit before the season, if you told them the exact playoff picture who was going to be missing, the consensus would have been a guaranteed Super Bowl for Allen. The field was supposed to be wide open.
So the big question for us and for you is what happened? What happened between that preseason certainty and this current intense debate that's now carrying a huge risk of failure? I think we have to start by setting that scene. We have to detail why expectations for Allen are just so stratospheric this year.
It really all comes down to absences. The pressure cooker Allen is in is defined by who is not playing. When you look at the AFC, 3 of the quarterbacks people call the Big Four are out of the picture. We are talking explicitly about huge rivals like Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Lamar Jackson not being in this specific playoff dance.
It creates a vacuum. It just does. When you take those foundational game changers out of the equation, the guys who have historically been in the Bills' way, well, the entire ceiling of expectation for the elite guys who are left, it just shifts upwards dramatically. And this is why the source material sees this as Allen's golden ticket. The roadblocks are gone.
And it's not like Allen is, limping into the postseason. The sources are quick to remind us he has a history of showing up when it really matters. Look at the numbers we were handed. 36 career playoff touchdowns against only 7 interceptions. That is just staggering efficiency. He balls out in the postseason.
But that history is a double-edged sword, isn't it? It validates the expectation, for sure, but it also just amplifies the potential damage of a failure. And when you contrast that elite record with the quarterbacks he might face now, whether it's a rising star like C.J. Stroud or other guys who haven't built that championship legacy yet, well, on paper, it looks like a much easier path than running a gauntlet of the Big Four.
So, okay, if the established threats are gone, the calculation becomes really simple. Failure to reach the championship isn't just an unfortunate loss anymore.
Precisely. That's the key takeaway right here. When those defining players, those game changers, are out of the bracket, a loss before the championship isn't just disappointing. The sources literally call it extremely damaging to his legacy. The expectation curve is no longer a gradual incline, it's a vertical wall.
Okay, so let's climb that vertical wall. We're moving into the absolute harshest assessment, what some are calling the "it better not be you" standard. If the Bills lose this year, the argument is crystal clear. The season is a total failure, and that protective bubble that's shielded Allen from criticism, it has to shatter.
The critics are completely unforgiving on this, and they tie that failure directly to the perceived weakness of the opposition. One of the sources quotes this directly, saying the people that he has to go against is potentially C.J. Stroud or other young guys, and you lost or you came up short. That's the legacy impact for sure.
Yeah.
They're basically saying if you can't beat this field, you're not who we thought you were.
And the sources also point out this protective narrative around Allen. It's not new. It's been there for years. They bring up specific games, right? Like the Atlanta game, the Houston game. Games where Allen gets some criticism, but the losses were pretty quickly overlooked or, excused by the wider media because of his history of being a hero.
And the critics feel that history, that credit, has run its course. The mandate for this playoff run is singular. It's go win the damn championship and be the best player in the world. Since he's arguably the only one of that established Big Four left standing, the spotlight is just entirely on him.
But hold on a minute. This is a team sport. If the criticism is really that absolute, that the responsibility for the entire team's failure falls on one guy, isn't that just inherently unfair?
That is a crucial question. And the source material doesn't let us off the hook. It immediately starts drawing comparisons to how other top quarterbacks are treated. Take Lamar Jackson. The critique is that when the Ravens lose, he doesn't get the luxury of all the excuses, even if, when you dig deeper, his teammates might have let him down. The conversation just pivots right back to him needing to play better in the postseason.
And it's even tougher for guys who aren't considered elite. The sources use examples like if Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield loses a playoff game, the blame is 100% on them. So why is Allen different? Why is the first instinct to look for other reasons?
That's the core of the double standard we're going to deconstruct in a bit. But for the critics, right now, the answer is simple. They say, everybody knows that the Buffalo Bills will win or lose because they have Josh Allen. They see him as the one transcending factor. So, if the team doesn't get to the Super Bowl this year, with this field, the consensus is the responsibility for that failure is his and his alone.
That is a harsh, almost isolated standard. But, okay, that assessment demands context, right? If the criticism is that absolute, we have to look at the one thing that could soften it, the team around him. We have to pivot now to that counter-argument because the Bills are not the same team they used to be.
Absolutely. And the entire defense of Allen hinges on this. The material fact that the Bills supporting cast has eroded, and that complicates the whole accountability argument. This is not the Bills team from their AFC East championship runs.
And the sources list specific glaring issues that are impacting the offense. The biggest one is the effective lack of Stephon Diggs. Not that he's not on the team, but his production, his impact has just dipped so severely. And on top of that, the Bills are described as being bereft of some of the tools at wide receiver in general.
Yeah, they cite instances with younger guys like Keon Coleman having DNPs or disciplinary issues being a healthy scratch. And for those who might not know, a healthy scratch means a player is perfectly fine to play, but is left off the active roster. And when a key offensive player is sidelined for reasons that aren't an injury, it just speaks to a kind of instability in that supporting cast.
And that instability, the argument goes, directly impacts Allen's own play. We saw him regress. He went back to making turnovers this year, which was a huge shift, right? I mean, he had dramatically cut down on those the year before.
The theory in the source is pretty compelling, that Allen had to resort to what some people call hero ball. Lacking that consistent high-level support, he felt like he had to force things, attempt riskier throws, the kinds of throws he didn't need to make when the team was running smoothly. So his regression, in this view, wasn't a failure of talent, but a necessity driven by a weaker team.
And you can't overlook the difficult path. The Bills lost their grip on the AFC East title. That means they're traveling everywhere. They have to win huge games on the road, going to Jacksonville, New England, wherever, just to get to the championship. The margin for error is razor thin.
And that travel schedule makes the defense's hypothetical scenario so critical. What if Allen does ball out? Let's say he puts up 30-plus points. He scores a touchdown with a minute left to take the lead. But then the defense of this inferior team immediately collapses. And they can't stop the other quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, for example, from marching right down the field for a lone score.
So if Allen plays heroically, but the loss is squarely on the defense, then blaming the quarterback starts to look irrational.
It does. And the argument is that blaming Allen in that scenario would be doing the same unfair thing that was done to Lamar Jackson in the past. Where Jackson was blamed for defensive failures. It forces you to ask that deep question. How do you judge failure when the individual talent is just monumental, but the structure around him is visibly weak?
That distinction, talent versus structure, that leads us right into the heart of this, the double standard. The sources basically ask this rhetorical question: why have we not criticized Josh Allen to the same degree that we criticize Lamar Jackson?
And this is where it gets really, really interesting. Because the answer, according to the sources, lies in one single unforgettable football game. The 2021 divisional playoff against Patrick Mahomes. Allen is shielded by the memory of his heroic performance in that loss, the famous 13 seconds game.
Right. That moment, even though it was a loss, it was so brilliant that it just cemented his reputation as an all-time clutch performer. Even as the clock ran out, the feeling wasn't disappointment in Allen, it was just awe.
Exactly. Because he was so great in that loss, the narrative shifted forever. The prevailing view became that when the Bills lose, well, it's the defense's fault. It was them allowing those catches to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce, or it's a specific teammate's fault, like a tight end who dropped a pass. The narrative was permanently set. It wasn't him.
So his singular brilliance in that one moment bought him years of immunity from criticism. That's a fascinating insight into how we judge leadership.
It is. And you contrast that with Lamar Jackson. Our sources point out that Jackson had a more concerning playoff record at the time. 3 wins, 5 losses. And crucially, he had struggled miserably for years in the postseason before this year. That record, the sources argue, justified the higher level of criticism he got compared to Allen, whose playoff record is 7-6.
So the standard wasn't about just wins and losses or even stats. It was about the perceived quality of the performance in those huge losses. Lamar struggled, Allen transcended.
That's the difference maker. However, and this is the big synthesis, the final line the source material draws. Regardless of the brilliance of 2021, the past excuses, or the current team issues, the consensus on this specific playoff run is unavoidable. This is the Josh has to do it scenario. The shield is dissolving because the opportunity is just too clear.
He will know he missed an opportunity if he fails to get them to the championship this year. That pressure cooker of expectation created by his rivals' absences has finally boiled over, and it's forcing a confrontation between that historical brilliance and the immediate reality.
And the broader takeaway for you, the listener, goes so far beyond sports. This debate shows us how one single monumental moment of heroism like that 2021 game can create a permanent cognitive shield. It protects a highly talented person from criticism, even when the circumstances around their team or their company change dramatically. We end up relying on the memory of their greatness instead of assessing their current conditions.
Which raises a really powerful question for all of us in any field, whether it's business or art or sports. Are we more likely to judge performance based on that past heroism, that historical brilliance? Or will we finally judge based on the immediate reality and the limitations they face right now? Which standard truly defines a legacy?
And that leads us to our final provocative thought for you to explore. In any team environment, what responsibility does a company or team have to support its elite talent? And at what point must that talent finally transcend the team's known limitations to achieve that ultimate goal? If Josh Allen fails this year, with the AFC field this open, will the narrative truly, once and for all, shift from "it wasn't him" to "it was him"?